Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith, and happy arrival day to all Guyana. Let's get to the news in detail. If Guyana is to steer clear of a temporary suspension from the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, or EITI board, when it comes up for a second review on April 1st, 2024, it must implement a suite of corrective actions, one of which includes doing more to educate citizens about resource governance. The board said too that Guyana's EITI Secretariat must also do its part to demand high standards of transparency and accountability in government operations and in business. The board's recommendation follows its recent announcement that Guyana achieved a fairly low overall score in implementing its 2019 EITI standard. The EITI's 2019 standard requires that open data on natural resource income and contracts be a routine part of government and corporate reporting while providing information to stakeholders in a time frame and format that support widespread use in analysis and decision making. The board, which manages 55 member countries, said the overall score of 52 points for Guyana reflects an average of the three component scores. These scores were given in the areas of outcomes and impact, transparency, and stakeholder engagement. In other news, while he was opposition leader, Guyana's Vice President Barra Jagdeo had warned that it is wise to beware of foreign oil and gas consultancy firms and their motives, especially in Guyana. His exact words during a 2018 press conference were, and I quote, "Not because a foreign company puts out a favorable report, a consultancy company, that we must all latch onto it. We have to question the motivation of these companies, particularly consultancies for the oil and gas sector." He had advised that most of these consultancy firms are clients of oil companies and would always put out reports that are favorable to them and not the country. However, 2 years later, it appears as though Jagdeo had ignored his own warning and backpedaled on his 2018 statement, because when his party, the PPPC, took office in August of 2020, it hired Alison Redford, a former Canadian politician with ties to ExxonMobil, to review $9 billion Yellowtail, that should be the $9 billion Payara project, the field development plan, which was completed in 42 days. More than a dozen industry experts with experience reviewing field development plans had said emphatically no proper review is done with such breakneck speed. And now let's tell you, fishermen within the Berbice region continue to face hardship as Suriname has upped the pressure on local operators. Guyanese fishermen are not getting their fishing licenses renewed by Suriname's authorities, while others have parked their boats, refusing to shrink their vessels as demanded by Suriname. In an update on the current situation, Upper Currentine Fishermen Co-op Society Chairman Parmeshwar Jainaran said that so far he is aware of 12 Guyanese whose licenses have not been renewed. Additionally, some 25 fishermen in the Crabwood Creek No. 79 village have also parked their boats in protest of the stipulated 10 feet downsizing of their fishing vessels. Some have also downed their tools as they refuse to leave their boats unattended in the Suriname state. Local fishermen are refusing to cut the size of their usually 37 to 40 feet fishing boat, pointing out the unsafe nature of such a request. Jainaran stated that local operators are uncomfortable about the changes being because they put their lives at risk. And moving on, today marks 647 days since President Ali took office, and despite boasts of freedom of the press and information access, his administration has not held a single post-cabinet media conference to date. Post-cabinet briefings are geared towards informing the nation about critical decisions of the government and also their no objection to contracts. However, since taking office, this well-accepted practice has been discarded, although previously promises were made to correct the issue. Ali acknowledged the commitment and added that his government is the most accessible government. Meanwhile, President Ali gave no commitment to the speedy return of post-cabinet briefings. And I'll just tell you, while GPL has laid blame on the COVID-19 pandemic for its failure to stay below the targeted number of power outages for last year, information recorded in the annual reports of the Public Utility Commission tells a different story. In fact, the PUC record of the company's annual performance shows that GPL has consistently been missing its blackout target for years. A review of the PUC's information over a 5-year period revealed that GPL has performed poorly when it came to ensuring that customers did not experience blackouts. According to the report, in 2016, while the target was 7 to 5 interruptions on average per customer, which meant that GPL's customers were not supposed to expect more than 7 to 5 outages per consumer that year, the number of outages per customer stood at 119. In 2017, there was a similar occurrence, with the target at 7 to 5 and GPL power interruptions climbing to 129. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. It is now 12 hours 19. We will resume after the break.
Need an easy Mother's Day gift that mom will love? Gift her the all-new DL4 for only $12,000 with a bigger display, better camera, and the best apps. Plus, get a free 30-day Prime bundle with purchase. Be mom's hero this Mother's Day. Visit a Digicel store near you. Digicel, better together.
This is GHK Lal, inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. Minister of Public Works Juan Egil on Wednesday attended the contract signing ceremony for the feasibility study and design of the Kaieteur River Bridge in Suriname. The ceremony was held in Suriname and was signed with WSP Caribbean Limited, the lowest bidder for the contract. According to reports, the company had placed a bid of $1.8 million without indirect tax and $540,864 with indirect tax only. During the contract signing, an expression of interest for the construction of the bridge was also launched. Speaking in Paramaribo, Suriname, in the presence of Minister of Public Works of Suriname, Dr. Riyad, and other officials, Minister Egil noted that this bridge is more than just an infrastructure project, adding that cooperation at this level means fewer delays and more progress for both countries' populations. And moving on, Acting Commissioner of Police Clifton Hicken is now warning private security guards to desist from posing on social media with high-powered rifles, especially on TikTok. Also, Traffic Chief Ramesh Ashram made it clear that sirens on their vehicles are not allowed. Their comments were made during a recent meeting they had with private security firms at the Forces Trading Center in Kingston. Minister of Home Affairs Robson Ben also attended the meeting and agreed with Ashram's and Hicken's respective statements and warned too that he will revoke their licenses should they fail to adhere to the rules. While the top cop acknowledged that the force is looking forward to working along with private security firms, there are also some rules that must be followed, and one of them is professionalism when it comes to big weapons. More than 1 year after being charged for providing the Ministry of Health with expired HIV testing kits, Devendra Ramprasad was on Wednesday freed of the charge after the magistrate upheld a no-case submission. Ramprasad, a technical consultant to Caribbean Medical Supplies Inc., on his first court appearance had denied the charge, which alleges that on January 16, 2020, Caribbean Medical Supplies Inc. sold and supplied 400 units or 20 packs of Unigold HIV test kits with misleading representation, a violation of the Food and Drugs Act of 1971. He was charged for selling and supplying the devices with misleading representation. In other news, during the opening of tenders on Tuesday at the NPTAP office, it was revealed that the Blairmont Estate Sugar Wharf will be rehabilitated for an estimated cost of $70 million. The project is one being undertaken by Kaieteur. On Tuesday, 18 projects were opened for this entity. Some of these projects are for the rehabilitation of boiler house roof at Rose Hall Factory, relocation of sugar dryer, associated equipment, and overhead cranes from Enmore to Albion Estate, and to supply and deliver 8 20-feet flat-bottom aluminum boats with engines. And to wrap things up, after reporting only 7 new cases on Tuesday, the Ministry of Health on Wednesday revealed that within the last 24 hours, health authorities have recorded a total of 27 new infections in the country. The new infections bring the total number of confirmed cases to 63,518. 1 patient is still admitted into the ICU. 1 person is now in institutional isolation, 88 are in home isolation, and 3 are quarantined institutionally. Additionally, within the last 24 hours, 51 persons have recovered from the virus, taking the total number of confirmed cases to 62,200. And just before we leave, we have to turn the pages of the Kaieteur News to page 7, that is, of course, dedicated to being blunt. Media conference joke. So the farce, dubbed media conference, has concluded. We call it a farce because that is exactly what it is. 2 days of splurging of taxpayers' money. What did it accomplish other than giving the minister in charge, Kwame McCoy, and his sycophants a stage to palaver? We noticed that the organizers went to the highways and the byways and simply say, "Whosoever will may come." So we saw in the audience receptionists from the state media entities, drivers, accounts clerks, school children, cooks, and all and sundry, some with no interest in media work, but they were all there. What shocked us most was a panel on the final day with the Guyanese critic, who can hardly string together a sentence, and a woman who goes around saying she's promoting Guyana, lecturing people about media. What a big joke. Our credible media colleagues who managed to stay through that farce, we tip our hats to you. We await better next year. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's Newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Guyana, join me on the Glenn Lal Show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday